Hey friends, welcome back to Acre Homestead. My name is Becky and today we are going to talk all about onions. Onion bolting, why it happens, and is it savable? Can you save your onions if they bolt? The entire 16 by 4 foot bed behind me is planted in onions. I planted them all out on the same day, but there is a difference between half the bed. This half of the bed is onion starts that I purchased from Dixondale Farms, and the other half of the bed are onions that I started from seed back in January, and I planted out from starts that I had started. Planted them out February 24th. Which for my time, that should have been okay, but it was pushing it. I was planting them a little early. I'm in zone 8B, I'm in Southwest Washington, but something interesting happened. Every single plant that I planted from Dixondale Farm bolted, and the ones that I started did not bolt. And I called over to Dixondale Farm to talk to them and say, what did I do wrong? Is there something I'm missing? And they were extremely amazing. Their customer service was great. They actually put me on the phone with Bruce, the top dog at Dixondale Farm, and he talked me all through onion bolting, and I wanted to share that information with you because I learned a big lesson. And he explained to me the reasons why they bolt. Onions are biennials, which means when you put them in the ground, the first year they're gonna grow you their fruit. So for onions, you put it in the ground, the first year it's supposed to grow you the onion bulb. For carrots or biennials as well, the first year you put that seed in the ground, it's supposed to grow you a carrot. And then what happens is then it goes dormant over the winter if you keep it in the ground and don't harvest it, and then that second growing season it's going to shoot up a seed pod or a flower and go to seed. So technically it's really weird that my onion bulbs went to seed because they think for some reason they're on their second growing season, which they're not, they're on their first. There's a couple reasons why your biannual might go to seed or flower in the first growing season, and Bruce at Dixondale Farm talked me through the whole process. One of the reasons why an onion might bolt is because it's over fertilized at the beginning of when you plant it. If that plant gets too big too quick, then it'll trick it into thinking that it's already gone through its growing season and it'll shoot up a seed pod. The second reason onions will bolt is if they have a cold snap after they have 6 or more leaves. So when I put these onions in the ground, the Dixondale Farm onions were about twice the size of my onions, and I was excited about that. I was like, yay, okay, these onions are gonna be big, and next year I need to start my indoor onions earlier, and I'll talk about that in that planting video. But no, I actually started them at the right time because when I transplanted them out, my starts only had like 2 to 3 leaves, and the Dixondale Farms had 4 to 5 leaves, which I thought that was a good thing, and it is a good thing if you plant your plants starts out at the right time. My Dixondale Farm onions were already a head start, and we had a cold snap in April. We don't usually have any below freezing temperatures after March 30th. So what happened was my Dixondale Farm onions had already grown enough and had 6 or more leaves. When we had that cold snap, those onions went dormant thinking that it was winter, and then when the temperatures rose again, they then thought they were in their second growing season, and so they sent up a seed pod. Versus my onions were younger and they didn't yet have that 6th leaf, so my onions were able to handle those colder temperatures and not go dormant and then wake up again thinking that they were then in their second growing season. My onions are still struggling compared to the starts that I planted about 3 weeks later. I planted some Walla Walla onions along some other beds, and those onions are big, those bulbs are growing, and I'm super happy with them. So the big question is, are these onions savable? And the answer is yes and no. So you need to harvest these right away. I thought if I cut off that seed pod, it was gonna put the energy back in the bulb like garlic, but that's not the case. When you notice that your onion is going to flower, you need to actually harvest that right away and not cut the flower off like I did, because what can happen is water can actually go down into that tube and cause rotting. When you see a flower, pull that onion, harvest it, and get as much of the meat off of it as possible. You can still eat the onion. Now, I cut this flower head off a week ago, so I'm nervous to cut into this, and you can see how small, I mean, this is a tiny onion here that I'm getting, and I am gonna go through today and harvest all these onions and see what I can get. But let's just cut into it now and see what it looked like. Oh, wow. It looks absolutely stunning in there. So what I'm gonna do today is harvest all of these, and I'm gonna preserve those little bits of onions that I get. So it's gonna be a pretty tedious process. I'm not counting this as a loss. I'm counting this as a win-win-win for a couple reasons. One, I learned a ton. Now, I probably could have done all this research months before I planted them, but I didn't, and so I learned as I went, and now you guys know, learning from my mistakes, what not to do. plant your onion starts out a little bit farther. Make sure that there's less than 6 leaves if you're going to plant them out sooner, so that you don't get them in that vulnerable state of 6 leaves, a cold snap happening, and then them going to bolt. So Bruce was saying, if I did not have that cold snap, I would have huge onions out here, but I had that cold snap, so it is a gamble. So you can plant out early, but you do put the risk of having them bolt on you. I actually got a ton of onion product out of this bed. I harvested the tops off these onions twice, so I was able to preserve a ton of onion greens that have absolutely amazing flavor that I'm going to be able to cook in dishes, so it wasn't a total onion loss. I made onion top pesto with it. If you want to watch that, the video is up here and down below. So I'm considering this a win, even though I am disappointed that these onions are so much smaller than I was hoping for. And my goals this year was to grow big onions. And I do have some Walla Walla onions over there that are looking pretty good. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. If you found value in this and think anybody else could learn from my mistakes, please share it to them. And if you want to see more of what I have going on around here, go ahead and subscribe. Right after this, I'm going to go film a video where we're going to be harvesting some fig leaves and make fig tea out of it. I've never tried it, so I'm super excited about it, and it's supposed to be good for your insulin levels. Not a doctor, but I've been researching about it. So if you want to see that, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're new and you're just finding my channel, I've got some videos that are going to pop up here you could go watch. But I just want to say a huge thank you guys for hanging out with me in my garden. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.